Okay. So I'm back with the building, and we left off with me cutting out the pieces and shaping them, and then gluing them together. So we had two corners left of where the building was standing. So here now I've gone ahead and created one side of the building. I'm going to show you. This is what I've done in my spare time. Alright? So I put in the columns. This one's about a 1/2 inch. These are 1/4 inch columns. And then in between each columns I put little spacings. So the columns are made of cardboard, and the spacings are just made of thin, like cereal card kind of. Alright? And then all that was in between the spacing and the column were all the windows, which I basically just took my knife and poked them out, roughed them up. Okay? And so I'm going to show you how to do it, or do that. It's really not so hard, but there's just a few things I have to say about that you can, you can imagine how that happens. And so I'm going to do it on this side. Okay? So, and I really just kind of want to stick to modeling, but I feel like I have to say, like, I was watching the news for like 5 hours, from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon to about 5 o'clock, 3 hours maybe, a little bit before 2 maybe. Anyway, and I was watching the news. Oh man, those fuckers and fucking AIG. But even more so, like, they're blaming AIG for giving those bonuses from a contract that was created years ago, and the government knew about the contract. They knew about it. They took over the business. They basically now own AIG basically because of the bailout. So they give them money, and then AIG spends it on bonuses, and now Capitol Hill is flipping out. And now Nancy Pelosi, the head of the House, is like, oh man, Nancy, you bitch, you fucking bitch. Oh man, was at some sort of hearing and had the balls to call illegal aliens, people hopping over the border, patriotic, and that they're doing the right thing basically. And they're like, you're gonna run our country, good for you, and that's patriotism. Oh man, I think at that point, that's when we take her and we put her on a spike and set her to flames. Because, oh god, Nancy, you bitch, I really want to kill you. Oh gosh, I had to turn it off. I was so pissed off. Oh man, I'm gonna kill her. Yeah, let's get this. Let's do this building. Yeah. We're just gonna basically duplicate what we've done over here on this side of the wall. So first, I start out with just doing a 1/2 inch column, and I have one cut out right here. Now this is all rectangular, okay? So, and we don't want it rectangular, we want it all beat up like this one and broken. So basically, it's no more simpler than just taking a knife and just going, whoops. Flew right at the computer screen, and just taking a knife and just cutting it down, and just make sure you get all the straight lines kind of destroyed. I don't think that there's anything less distracting on a destroyed building than straight lines. That's like, that's something you want to avoid as much as possible, other than like obvious edges on the building which have to be straight. you want to try to avoid straight lines as much as possible, I would think. Like even if you were to create a building that it's like this. Hold on. Mods and technology. God Christ, help them all. All right. Anyway, but like I said, even you want to avoid straight edges. Even if you had a building where you had one side kind of triangle down like this, and on the other side you had a triangle down. You wanted to make it like so it was 3 walls. You want this middle wall to be kind of straight on the sides. I'd even take it so that way the top is just like destroyed down across, even if it's going to be flat on both the left and right side for the other 2 walls. Try to avoid straight edges as much as possible. But it's really however you want to do it. So, but you're just basically just going to take your knife and go across and just get rid of all this straight edge. And just mark it up. Oh, that was a little bit too much, eh? Too much marking. Okay, well now that's pretty good. Alright, so there's my column. Alright, it's all destroyed. And probably by roughing it up, you probably squished it. So you just take it, if you have a toothpick, just take it and just kind of run the toothpick in the grooves and just kind of pop it back out. Clean it up a little bit. Get rid of all these paper pieces that are just like little flimsy, nothing craps. There and there. So yeah. And now we're just going to glue it on. So you just take a glue stick. Which side is the side I want to? This side. Glue on. And that goes. You just going to want to line it up with the side you already did. So make sure it's all straight. Yes, I use the word straight. But that's something that you have to kind of make straight. Right. So there we go. As you see, it lines up with the other side quite well. Okay, so that's that. Now we have to do the spacings that fall in between each column. So you just get out some of your serial card. It's just some of this flimsy stuff. And I already cut some squares. That'll be using spacing. These are 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And again, just take your knife and just take your knife and just go along the edges and mess it up. No more simpler than that. And bend it and squish it and just try to get it so that way it doesn't look like a square. These ones are you want to be careful with your fingers because you don't want to cut yourself. You're probably gonna end up, if you do this a lot, you're probably gonna end up building like callus on the meaty part of your knuckles or whatever, on the pads of your fingers, whatever. You don't have to go too crazy. Just kind of rough it up, bend the corners. No big deal. So, man, you really can't tell that it's any different, but it's less noticeably square. So we just take that, and just take a glue stick, and again, just get some glue on there. Not a whole lot, don't need that much. And then just kind of line it up at the very bottom of this one, or wherever you decide to put your spaces. And just stick it. And then so basically it's just going to do, you're going to do a column, and then however many spaces you can fit, and then another column, and then however many spaces you can fit, and then another column, and however many spaces you can fit. And then in between, as soon as you get kind of it all done, in between each spacer, then you can just kind of start tearing out the windows. So I'm going to finish this up. without taping. And then I'll tear out the windows. And then and that'll be it for this part.